Societal norms of the 1940s to 1960s often cast a puritanical veil over discussions of sexuality. Rooted in post-war conservatism and rigid social structures, these times scarcely left room for sexual openness or education. Yet, within this repressive climate, Beate Rotermund-Uhse took the stage as a pioneering force, daring to upend long-held taboos. Her name became synonymous with sexual enlightenment and empowerment, even while facing ardent opposition from various fronts. This context serves as the backdrop for the life and work of Beate, who would go on to revolutionize how society talked about, understood, and engaged with sexuality. Today, you'll explore the story of Beate Rotermund-Uhse, the woman who shattered sexual taboos and founded the world's first sex shop. Born in East Prussia, Beate Rotermund was surrounded by an atmosphere of empowerment, thanks in no small part to her mother, a trailblazer in her own right as one of the first female doctors to receive a doctorate in Germany. It was she who provided the young Beate with early sexual education and instilled in her the confidence to aim for the sky. Quite literally. By the time she blew out the candles on her 18th birthday cake, Beate held an A2 pilot's license in her hands, soon followed by an acrobatic license. Beate's early years weren't devoid of controversy. In 1939, she married her flight instructor, Hans-Jürgen Uhse, and had a son, Klaus, in 1943. During this period, she also flew for the Hitler regime, a role as contentious as it was legendary. Her early life set the stage for a career that would combine elements of audacity, ingenuity, and a willful disregard for societal expectations. In 1951, an unassuming mail-order service took its first orders. Beate Uhse had opened her erotic shop with a skeletal staff of just 4 employees. The catalog was minimal, condoms and a magazine penned by Uhse herself. Yet this simple operation laid the foundation for a revolutionary business model that would defy conventional norms and usher in a sea of change in the realm of sexuality. Fast forward to 1962. Beate Uhse launched the world's first specialist shop for marital hygiene in Flensburg, elevating her business from the realm of mail-order obscurity to a physical touchpoint with a society awash in sexual taboos. While her shop emerged as a sanctuary for those willing to explore their sexualities, it was a lightning rod for criticism from various sectors. Moral, Christian, and feminist opposition led the charge against her. By 1992, over 2,000 charges had been filed against her for aiding and abetting fornication. To add salt to the wound, when she attempted to join a tennis club, she was snubbed. So she built her own tennis court. She had a penchant for turning adversity into opportunity. Instead of retreating, she redoubled her efforts. Supporting the Peace and Love Festival in 1970 by freely distributing condoms, she operated under the guiding principle, free love all well and good, but with condoms. With each battle in court, each societal rebuff, and each fallen taboo, Beate Uhse only strengthened her resolve, encapsulating a life that would brook no barriers. Beate Uhse's views on sexuality were groundbreaking, especially for her time. Her credo could be summarized in one radical concept: the separation of sexual satisfaction from procreation. This wasn't just a provocative statement. It was a declaration of independence from an age-old belief that held sexuality in a vice grip of moral judgments and utilitarian functions. For Uhse, the idea was revolutionary, yet practical. If we were to procreate in accordance with our sexual urges, she stated, it would not be possible for any parents today to give their children a decent, humane life and an appropriate education. She argued that personal happiness and a balanced family life required the freedom to experience sexual pleasure without the looming consequence of unintended pregnancy. This perspective led her to a second career as a sex advisor. In 1948, years before the first sex shop was even a glimmer in her eye, Uhse had already begun her educational journey by marketing the Schrift X, a pamphlet detailing the calendar method of birth control. It was a time when men were returning from the war, when the pill was yet to be invented, and when unplanned pregnancies were a major concern. Uhse's Schrift X, sold by the thousands, revealing a public hungry for sexual education, and solutions that extended beyond mere procreation. Over time, her views evolved, as did society's, but her core belief in the right to sexual satisfaction without the burden of unwanted pregnancy remained a cornerstone of her empire and her enduring legacy. She was no stranger to controversy, but one critique that stood out came from the feminist magazine Emma in March 1988. The article did not mince words. It described her as an emancipated woman who emancipates herself at the expense of women and keeps it with guys. To say that she was polarizing would be an understatement. Uhse was simultaneously a trailblazer for sexual freedom and a figure of intense scrutiny and criticism. The Emma article attacked her on multiple fronts, connecting her past as one of the few female pilots for the Hitler regime with her role in what the article described as the sex war. Such stinging rebukes were symbolic of the larger society's varying perceptions of her. Some saw her as a revolutionary, challenging the status quo and redefining the boundaries of what was considered acceptable for women, both in business and their personal lives. Others viewed her as a pariah, compromising ethics and traditional values for commercial gain. By the apex of her career, when she built the Beate Uhse Erotic Museum in Berlin in 1996, public opinion was still divided. While some hailed her as a pioneer, others criticized her for contributing to what they saw as the moral degradation of society. Love her or hate her, what one cannot deny is that she provoked conversations that society had long chosen to ignore. In 1996, she reached another milestone by opening the Beate Uhse Erotic Museum in Berlin. More than a mere repository of sexual artifacts, the museum stood as concrete evidence of her enduring influence in sexual enlightenment and entrepreneurship. This came on the heels of Germany's legalization of pornography in 1975, a development that allowed Uhse to diversify her business empire. The company branched out into film rentals and VHS tapes, riding the wave of an industry that had just received legal validation. Beate Uhse defined pornography as sexual gymnastics in glossy paper booklets, films, or in videotapes, further solidifying the brand's cultural imprint. However, not all was smooth sailing. The advent of the internet posed a challenge to Uhse's empire. Where her shops once had a monopoly, digital platforms began offering similar products, often at lower prices. The accessibility and anonymity of online shopping drew customers away from traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Her company, once a market leader, saw its share prices plummet. The public image of the entrepreneur had shifted from an audacious pioneer to a figure grappling with market irrelevance. Then came COVID-19, a global pandemic that strained many industries but provided an unusual silver lining for the online sex trade. Termed the virus of the hour, the pandemic led to an upsurge in online activity related to the sex industry, giving companies in this space a much-needed economic recovery. While this buoyed many, it wasn't enough to completely revive the once dominant Beate Uhse brand. The organization struggled on despite being far from its heydays, but its founder's reputation as an unstoppable energy in a strongly conservative country endures. Garnering honors that attested to her groundbreaking contributions, Beate Uhse was awarded the Federal Merit Badge on the ribbon in 1989. Not one to shy away from the limelight, she candidly discussed how her gender afforded her certain advantages in an industry where men were often met with swift condemnation. Her legacy was further secured through her sons who continued her business endeavors. One notable spin-off was the mail-order company Orion, established in 1981. This venture sustained the Uhse brand's vitality and relevance, underscoring her lasting impact. She passed away in 2001 from pneumonia, but her impact reverberates through society and the sex industry to this day. Her audacious ventures not only broke taboos, but also provoked necessary dialogue around human sexuality, thereby molding public attitudes for generations to come. To think of her solely as a businesswoman would be an understatement. Beate Uhse was a societal game-changer. Thanks for watching HerStory. Join us next time as we continue to celebrate remarkable women who have made indelible marks on history.